I am the Cutie Crusader by RainbowDashian. Scootaloo feels the biting wind race across her face. The purple scarf wrapped around her neck doesn't help, neither do her horseshoes. The snow is up to the crook of her knee. She looks upon the land laid out before her. There is every pony in Ponyville, working hard. After all, it is winter wrap-up day. She looks for specific ponies. To the northeast is RainbowDash, working hard with the other Pegasi to obliterate the clouds. Scootaloo remembers back when she used to idolize that mare. RainbowDash was the only pony in Equestria that she had ever respected. But then she learned of her condition. She had a debilitating disease that prevented her wings from growing, and, through this, prevented her from ever being able to fly. Scootaloo spots Twilight closer to town, checking off tons of things on a clipboard. Scootaloo can't suppress the small giggle that escapes her mouth when she remembers that book Twilight had lent her and the other Crusaders. They'd accidentally caused Big Macintosh and their teacher Cheerlee to fall madly in love. Then Scootaloo sees Applebloom. The yellow mare is busily repainting some of the houses that had been damaged by the saturation from the snow. Scootaloo is breathing shakily now. She remembers the day that Applebloom had gotten her cutie mark. They hadn't been told. They hadn't been warned. They'd just been bailed out on. Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo had sat in the Cutie Crusader clubhouse for hours, waiting for Applebloom to arrive at the meeting. When she hadn't shown, they'd left. The next day, the yellow earth pony hadn't been at school, so the two thought that she was just sick. But, after school that day, they'd gone to Sugar Cube Corner. They'd walked in the door, only to find Applebloom eating a cupcake. Scootaloo had been ruthless. She had smacked the cupcake out of her friend's hand, pushed Applebloom down, and demanded to know why the earth pony hadn't been at school, and more importantly, why she'd bailed on them. Sweetie Belle had been forced to wrench Scootaloo off of Applebloom. Applebloom had stood up, and Sweetie Belle had caught a glimpse of her friend's flank. There was a paintbrush, with a bit of green paint on the bristles. Scootaloo still remembers the words Sweetie Belle had said.
Hey, what's that?
At the time, 6-year-old Scootaloo had thought it to be a stupid question. But now that she was twice as old, she understood. Sweetie Belle hadn't been talking about the cutie mark. She was talking about the friendship the trio had once had. Once Applebloom had received her cutie mark, she had inexorably forsaken her fellow Crusaders. A tear slides down Scootaloo's cheek. She gazes at the meadow near Fluttershy's home. There is Sweetie Belle, her beautiful singing voice resonating off the trees in the hills, calling all the birds to her. Once they arrive, she directs them to their nests. Despite her mental will, Scootaloo slips into the memory she had stored away, the memory of Sweetie Belle's departure. Scootaloo had been sitting in the Cutie Crusaders clubhouse when Sweetie Belle had arrived. The orange Pegasus had immediately known something was up. When she asked, she had been told to sit down. Scootaloo had hesitantly sat down on one of the beanbag chairs. Belle announced her news, still not walking through the doorframe.
I've got some bad news. What is it? I've been offered a job. A job? But you're 9! I know!
Sweetie Belle hung her head.
They made a special exception, because of the circumstances. What circumstances? I got my cutie mark.
Sweetie Belle turned to her friend, showing her flank. There sat a microphone. Scootaloo's face had paled.
That's great. Who's the job with? Scootaloo, I'm sorry. I didn't ask for the job. It's just... Who's the job with? The Equestrian Choral. The traveling group? Yes.
Sweetie Belle had answered. A pair of tears had spilled over her lower eyelids, sliding down her face.
I'm sorry,
she had repeated.
I'm so sorry. I'll visit you whenever we're in Ponyville. No, you don't have to.
Scootaloo had said.
You can stay with your new friends in the group. I'll be fine on my own.
Scootaloo had stood up and begun walking to the door.
No, I want to visit you,
Sweetie Belle replied, blocking the Pegasus exit.
I don't want you to,
Scootaloo had asserted.
Now let me leave. Why don't you want me to visit you?
Sweetie Belle had pleaded, her tears falling faster now.
I said let me leave!
Scootaloo had screamed, pushing past the unicorn and running off into the orchard. Once she had reached a small secluded lake, Scootaloo sat down and began to weep. Her only remaining friend, Sweetie Belle, had just announced her hiring in a traveling singing group. Normally, Scootaloo would have been fine with this, but Sweetie Belle had paired that with other news. She had received her cutie mark. Now, the two of them had nothing in common. Scootaloo was alone from that point forth. Now the tears are racing down Scootaloo's face, and she doesn't try to stop them. She walks towards the edge of the snowy cliff and looks down. It's a long way, a good 500 feet to the hard ground below. The wind carries the sweet voice of Sweetie Belle to Scootaloo's ears.
We're the Cutie Mark Crusaders.
That's it. One line. But it's enough. Suddenly, Scootaloo is seized by a grief much stronger than that which had already taken hold of her. She had climbed a steep hill for this reason, but now she felt as if the reason had become a necessity.
No, Sweetie Belle.
Scootaloo says.
There's no we anymore. I'm all that's left.
Scootaloo's final tears escaped from her eyes.
I am the Cutie Mark Crusader,
she whispers. Scootaloo jumps, and seeing the ground rushing towards her, her primeval instincts force her to flap her wings. But it's in vain. She can't fly, and the ground rushes up forward to meet her. Scootaloo lies unmoving on the ground, her eyes open, staring at nothing. A pool of dark blood slowly begins to spread from the Pegasus' broken body. Scootaloo's last tear releases its grip on her face, mixing unnoticed with the blood. The end.